There's been a lot of media coverage and a lot of news around Gen Z spending habits, around the fact that Gen Z are coming out into the adult world, into the working world as one of the poorest generations at the moment. And even though we're the forefront of modern activities, technological innovation and pushing the world further forward, it seems like a lot of Gen Z don't think they are being monetarily rewarded for their efforts early on in life. So you clicked on this video to learn how to effectively save as a member of Generation Z. And whatever your financial situation may be, whether you're just learning about personal finance for the first time like a lot of Gen Z are, or whether you just want to take the steps to better equip yourself financially as a younger person, this video is for you. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind is materialism and having things, and spending culture is rampant across Gen Z at the moment. Now, in my opinion, personal consumer debt is one of the worst debts you could possibly have. And I've referenced older versions of the Deloitte Millennial and Gen Z study before on this channel, but there has been a 2023 version that has been released. But 51% of Gen Z that reported in that survey came back saying that they are currently living paycheck to paycheck, which is an increase from 46% last year. And the cost of living in general has become a main focus of concern for Gen Z, being 35% up from 29%. And the most shocking thing about the survey in general is that 46% of Gen Z respondents recorded that they feel anxious or stressed most of the time, which is an absolutely ridiculous statistic, and it really paints a negative picture to how things are currently. So we can talk about how you as a young person can effectively save your money. Step 1 includes an action that I can't believe that everyone doesn't do, but a lot of people don't do, and that is to look and analyse your bank account. I talk to so many people, and I've met so many people at various ages, where the only times they open their bank account is when they have a major purchase or when they just get paid. So they're only looking at their bank account maybe once or twice a month, which is crazy to me, because not understanding your personal finance situation a couple times throughout the week can bring on quite severe detriment to your long-standing personal finance picture, because you're more likely to frivolously spend, you're more likely to go into your overdraft, you're more likely to not have any money at the end of the week. So step 1 is just to take control back of your bank account, is to not be afraid to look at it, because a lot of people do have negative emotions, whether stress or anxiety or feeling scared upon opening their bank account because they're afraid of seeing a low number. But we have to take back control, and we just have to work with what we have in the bank account and understand what position we are currently in. And just to go through some of the transactions in your account and see what sort of spending habits you have, which smoothly moves on to step 2, and that is understanding your spending habits. There's a lot of memes of older people saying you need to cancel your Netflix, you need to stop buying Starbucks or whatever the case is, and then you'll have money all of a sudden, which we know isn't true. But I guarantee you that at least 90% of people have some sort of frivolous spending throughout the month that they just have done. It was an impulse purchase in a supermarket, or it was going out to eat one too many times, or doing some online purchases for things they don't really need, or having unnecessary subscriptions. And that moves us on to step 3, which is giving every pound or every dollar a purpose. So this is the part everybody hates, but budgeting is your number 1 best friend. A lot of people think budgeting restricts your money because, I can't buy whatever I want anymore. You know, if I want to go and purchase something, I'll just purchase it, or whatever the case is. And that's the behaviour shift that has to happen. And this idea that budgeting restricts your money is a bit ludicrous, because inside of a budget you would be an amount of money set for you to spend on frivolous things, otherwise known as just your fun money. And the exact same situation as step 1 of opening your bank account, not being afraid to look at the outgoings, look at the ingoings, and not being anxious or stressed out upon looking at your bank account, is the exact same situation that has to happen with writing down a budget. You shouldn't have to feel scared or anxious about writing down all your spending, writing down what you want your money to actually go on, because all we are doing is taking back control. And a purchase that has been made with intent, 9 times out of 10 feels a lot better than a purchase made on a whim that has no long-term positive benefit. If you know you go to the club every Friday night and then every Saturday you wake up and order a Mackey's at 2 p.m. as your hangover meal, budget that in. Set aside money for that, because you know what's going to happen. You know you're going to binge out on that Saturday afternoon because you're hungover. But that doesn't mean you can't control it. And just because you're budgeting and giving every pound or dollar a purpose doesn't mean that you can't have fun. So figure out what you actually want from the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year period of time, and then set aside money in your budget for those things that you want within those time periods. And then without you even knowing it, boom, you've started saving. Because you really identified you want this girls trip or boys trip in 6 months time, putting aside a little bit of money every single month towards that from your budget, it doesn't feel like you're being boring or tight with money because that money is being used to fund something that you actually want to do. And you don't get into a situation where you fling it on a credit card and just have that whole mess to clean up later on. It's just silly. Which moves us on to step 4, which is to eliminate all unnecessary spending. Oh, we have to get rid of Netflix, we have to stop buying coffee. No, if it's essential to you, then it's essential to you. It's your budget, it's your financial life. Or, you can do what you want, you can spend your money how you want. All I want people to do is to have control over their spending. But when you do sit down and write out your budget, you may come across some things where you're thinking, oh my god, I can't believe I spent this much money on this, or I can't believe this subscription is this amount, or I haven't opened up Netflix in 3 months, so why have I still got it, sort of thing. Or I've counted 10 times I've ordered Uber Eats this month. It's stuff like that, which is stuff we can limit out, and then the next month when you write a budget, you're going to be like, holy shit, I've actually got a lot more money left over because I've only ordered once a week on Uber Eats instead of 10 times a month on Uber Eats. That doesn't mean you stop ordering, it doesn't mean you stop having the fun and having the enjoyment out of it. You're just doing it in a more consistent, controlled, intentional manner. And that extra money is freed up for you to use on the girls' trip or the boys' trip in the future. When I wrote out my first budget, there was several spending habits which I had, and several transactions which I didn't even know the origin of. There was some PSN purchases, which was probably like FIFA points back in the day or whatever, or so an ASOS purchase on Amazon package where I don't even remember what it was. And there is a sense of shame and a sense of guilt attached with that, because you're throwing away money for something you can't even remember. So it just wasn't meaningful, it wasn't intentional. What was the point? There's one thing in particular that I noticed, which was my phone bill. I didn't realise that the provider I was with jacked up my tariff price and increased my phone payment price as well because of rising interest rates, etc. I probably got an email, I probably got a text message, but I just ignored it and carried on with my life. Didn't even realise I was being charged an extra like £20 a month for a phone that wasn't even exactly that new. So keeping that point in mind, I'm moving over to step 5, which is attacking all these unnecessary payments, subscriptions, behaviours with strategy. I was able to reduce my tariff price for my phone by over half by simply moving over to a different network. In my example, I was paying £27 a month for my tariff. I switched over to Voxy, £12 a month. Again, literally 5 times as much data for an equally as good service as well. But more importantly, I was saving £15 by just taking the initiative to understand that I could get a better deal elsewhere. And if I didn't do the budget, and I didn't understand my spending habits, I didn't understand my inability to open my bank account and look at prices that have gone up for certain things, I would have never been able to reduce that phone contract and save that quite large amount of money. So attacking these payments, attacking these behaviours with strategy includes things such as finding better deals elsewhere. Whether if you've got a fat phone payment, try search for different providers online that offer the same service, offer the same quality. Another big one for me was my Adobe Creative Suite subscription. I was paying £40 per month at the time, and I heard a rumour that you could just talk to a customer service agent, explain that it's a bit too expensive, and they will give you a couple months free. So I opened a live chat, talked to one of the guys, said I was thinking about cancelling because of the increased price, and they offered me 3 months of free subscription with the opportunity to sign up again afterwards at a reduced rate. And that's just based off a 5-minute conversation I had with an individual. And that same scenario with the phone contract, with my Adobe subscription, can happen across several different subscriptions you may have, and also for daily spending habits in general. If you know you are someone who walks down to the Bossman shop at 9 PM to spend £3-4 on a snack every single evening, instead keep things in the house to snack on that you buy for a reduced rate at a major supermarket when you do your weekly shop. There's so many different examples, so many different scenarios, but obviously it all comes down to your budget, what your budget looks like and what your spending habits look like. If you know you're someone who goes to Mackey's most days, there are better options not only for your health but also for your personal finance situation. One thing that really helped me distinguish whether a transaction was bad or not is to kind of see myself as an onlooker, as just a fly on the wall looking into my budget as I was writing it. and detaching myself from whatever transaction, whatever spend it was, and thinking, oh, this was a silly purchase, this doesn't have much value, or this has no purpose, etc. That's when I knew that what I was spending wasn't actually giving me any positive return. So just following these steps for a couple months, you're going to see your savings rate increase. You're going to have money left over. And that money left over obviously is going to go to a thing that you want in the next 3 to 6 to a year period of time. And now that you took control back of your spending and have money to allocate to certain things, that's when you move on to the next step, being what you want to actually save for in the future. That's when you take a holistic overview of what you want out of life and all that boring conversation. Do you want to go on more trips abroad? Do you want to save up for a new car? Do you want to save up for a house deposit? Whatever the case is. We can't do any of those big cool activities or big cool milestones in life without having control of the basic stuff. But by following the steps previously to get you to the point where you can actually think about these things, gives you so much control over what is a stressful thing, because money and personal finance can be such a stressful and anxious thing for anyone. And just taking basic control over your spending habits and seeing where your money is going and where it's coming from really helps you have control, which alleviates those feelings of stress and anxiety. And I think if treated correctly, money can be used as a tool to get whatever you want. It takes a long time and it takes a lot of discipline, but I do believe that. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate you listening. See you in a bit. Bye bye.